if it serves as a quarantine.
All right. There we go. Sorry about the delays, guys. Had a bunch of scuff on the back end. I really did. I really had some scuff. First off, one of my streams didn't want to load, so of course I had to solve that problems and fight with the OBS gods. Oh, jeez. But hopefully everybody's having a decent enough day. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the 4th, having some time, and definitely having a good day regardless. Managed to go over a few things for today. Kinda bummed that a whole bunch of places are closed. Wanted to pick up some emergency supplies from the shops, but you know, that is what it is. Everybody gets to enjoy the 4th, and I'm not gonna fault anybody for being able to take the day off. Because even I do. Because my day-to-day, they're closed too. So, best we get to enjoy it, you know? I mean, it is how it goes. And I hope everybody does get a chance to go out, spend some time with their family, spend some time doing their things, enjoy their being with their loved ones, and of course, hopefully we're doing good. But of course, I wanted to, you know, just kind of talk about things that are going on, because most people aren't going to be terminally online like some of us VTubers that are out here in this space. And of course, I just wanted to, I mean, first thing I saw when I woke up, got up, got my coffee, and went online, oddly enough. As of course always. There we go. Of course, scuff again. My Stream Deck doesn't want to work. Yay! Okay, but this is what I actually saw this morning. The American Revolution sprang not from individualism, but from the Bible. So, from what we can see here, of course, there's always got to be something that's going to interfere. Yay. One moment. Give me a quick second. Make this nice and clean for people. There we go. All right. It's going to take a little bit to fix all things, but yeah, here we go. Now, of course, they have to do a good picture of things for the Declaration. Now, of course, it's the 249th birthday of the United States, and as Americans begin to prepare for our nation's grand quincentennial celebration next year, it's worth re-engaging with the document whose enactment marks our national birthday, the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration is sometimes championed by right libertarians and left liberals alike as a paean to individualism and a refutation of communitarianism of any kind. As one ex-user put it on Thursday, the 4th of July represents the triumph of American individualism over the tribalistic collectivism of Europe. Now, this is anything but the case. We will turn to lead draftsman Thomas Jefferson's famous words about self-evident truths in a moment, but first consider the majority of the text of the Declaration, a stirring enumeration of specific grievances by the American colonists against the British Crown. Yeah, gotta remember the sign of the times, how things were back then. It's kind of hard. Here we are in the year of our Lord 2025. We've got to roll back time a little bit and think about where things stood then and just try to keep that mindset. But first consider the majority of the text of the Declaration, a stirring enumeration of specific grievances by the American colonists against the British Crown. In the Declaration's own words, the history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. So, we need to consider this. One might read these words in a vacuum and conclude that the Declaration indeed commenced a revolution in the true sense of the term, a seismic act of rebellion, however noble or righteous, to overthrow the established political order. Now, yes, considering the times, this was massive. This is one thing that, back then, you didn't do this. Most things back in those eras were monarchies. There was law and order, but democracies were few and far between. Yeah, one might read, a seismic act of rebellion, however noble or righteous, to overthrow the order. And true enough, that may have well been the subjective intention of Jefferson, a political liberal and devotee of the European Enlightenment. But the Declaration also attracted many other signers. Some of the signers, John Adams, more conservative, took a more favorable view of the incipient America's inherited traditions and customs. These men thought that King George III had vitiated their rights as Englishmen under the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and the Bill of Rights that passed Parliament the following year. So, yes, of course, they had previous Bills of Rights and everything in England, and with regards to all of that, this was a difference with regards to how things were being treated. Now, Edmund Burke, the famed conservative British statesman, was known for his strident opposition to the French Revolution. Yeah, the French were going for their revolution. He was known to be sympathetic to a colonist cause, and Edmund Burke Foundation colleague Ophir Havry argues in a 2020 essay, it's likely that these more conservative declaration signers, Adams, etc., the Americans had established national character and political culture. The Americans in 1776 rebelled in an attempt to defend and restore these traditions. So, yeah, they were trying to make a bit of a restoration. The founding is complex, yes. The founders themselves were intellectually heterodox. But suffice to say, the founding was not a simplistic renouncement of tribalistic collectivism of Britain. There's, of course, some truth to those who would emphasize the revolutionary nature of the Minutemen and the soldiers in the Continental Army. But more historically sound is the overall conception that 1776 commenced a process to restore and improve the inherited political order. As a result, the U.S. Constitution. So, of course, we have to consider the beginning. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We ought to take this claim at face value. Many of the signers did hold such genuine moral human equality to be self-evident. But is a claim self-evident to everyone? The obvious answer is it's not. Genuine moral human equality is certainly not self-evident to the Taliban supporting Islamic extremists in Afghanistan. It's not self-evident to any number of sub-Saharan African warlords, nor is it self-evident to the atheists of the Chinese Communist Party. Rather, the only reason Jefferson and Locke in England a century prior could confidently assert such moral self-evidence is because they were living and thinking with an overarching milieu is that Western civilization's biblical inheritance, and specifically the world-transforming claim, Genesis 1:27. Toward the very beginning of the Bible, God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Yeah, it's... Thank you. Human nature is not by default righteous. Yeah. And that's true. That's true. Everyone is a sinner. And that's the one thing that many in the Christian community call out, is that there are sinners, and if you claim to be without sin, then you're just following the wrong path, I guess, because we need to be true to our faith. And one of the truths of that faith is no one is sinless. Not on this earth currently. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody screws up. Now, it is very difficult, perhaps impossible, to see how the Declaration, the 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act, or any other American moral ode or legal codification of equality would have been possible absent the strong biblical undergird that has characterized the nation since colonial era. Political and biblical inheritance are thus far more responsible for the modern-day United States than revolution, liberal rationalism, or hyper-individualism. And we get to the good part. Adams famously said that Independence Day ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of the continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore. So, when people complain about the fireworks and everything, we can be respectful of vets and everybody else that are out there. I mean, we need to try to actually be, respectful for everyone's pets. I mean, it's a rough thing. They hear more than we do. They can be skittish. People who've been through hard times, they're going to have their own reactions with regards to things. But it's to also understand that the fireworks are going to happen. Loud events are going to happen. A lot of people are going to celebrate. And that's just how it is. So we have to remember on different things. Of course, going over things from yesterday, also wanted to, close out and get through my tabs with y'all. I was going to touch on the big, beautiful bill. Now, a lot of people are really happy about a lot of the things that are in here. A lot of people are mad about the things that are in this. And I'm just an old man. I'm just an old man that's here, that's been on this earth for quite a long time, since the 70s when I was born. And Overton window shifts? Yeah, technically I'd be considered middle right now, whereas before I was middle left. I still have my own views, personal views, public views. It is how it goes. So many different people would probably call me out for whatever reason if they get mad at what I have for an opinion. I mean, that's one of the things, to remember on this 4th is we're all entitled to our opinions, even our hot takes. People can call us out for having a hot take or being based, and that is how it goes. It's part of being an American. We do this sort of thing. And of course, the only times you can cross over those lines is when you're actually being disrespectful, saying outright lies about someone. Being slanderous, libelous. Those are the things you have to watch out for. You have to be careful with regards to a lot of different protections that are out there for people. Is, even copyright law, which is some of the things that I might even get into later if somebody brings it up. For discussion points. But rather than bore you guys with the entire raw text, I'll go for a summary from Grok. Thank you. It's such a big bill that it's so huge that I am not going to go lampooning for hours on this, because it takes Congress way too long to do things. So, of course, as we see, for the agenda, skipping forward it's a budget bill. We all know it's a budget bill, and the budget bills tend to be thousands upon thousands of pages, and Congress themselves can't even read it. And it's one of the things that I argue, they don't get the bill until they get it in paper form. Now, my question is whether or not these guys are going to be able to actually have access to like Grok or Google Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever. And as soon as they get the paper form of the bill, they come forward, dump it into the scanner real quick, and then take the document, load it to the stuff. Or even just get the full text from congress.gov and just pull it over, go into the AI, and hey, summarize. Hey there, I'm doing good. How about yourself, bro? Happy 4th, my man. Happy 4th. Now, of course, they decided that they were going to go into the permanent extension of tax cuts. Yeah, this is just kind of weird. Now, of course, some of this stuff was set to expire in 25. Temporary increases to standard deduction, not bad. That's okay for people. And that's just kind of a skip over. Salt deduction, okay. Dealing with the state taxes, deduction cap is getting changed. Okay. New tax breaks getting added in for people. Okay. This right here. The tax breaks for 25,000 in tips, and that's overtime pay. Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm already working on a 2.0, man. Because this is my 1.0. I'm just kind of getting started this year, just getting things kicked in. Hopefully, with support, I can get into my next 2.0. Now, as mentioned from many different streamers, I mean, this goes for all streamers. This is not just like even the big dogs. Like we're talking, oh, I'm 2D based. I'm 2D based. Thanks, man. Now, what ends up going on here is this is the no tax on tips, right? This is the no tax on tips. He's trying to follow up for this promise. However, streamers got cut out of the loop on this one. This is for your average Joes that are working their butt off. I mean, more props to the people that work in a restaurant or they end up doing something, you know, just to get things rolling. They're working their tail off. They get a tip. But donations, biddies, super chats, that kind of stuff, that's exempt from this in the big bill. And that's what sucks is streamers. Actually, I actually got this from Azuyani. There's actually a model that she put out there, and I have her referenced on my Twitch tabs. So you're able to actually pull her up. She actually has things on Etsy, that kind of thing. She can hook you up really good for decent money too. So she is not that expensive. So that, I mean, I would love more people to actually be able to start streaming if you've got it going. I had to design a few other pieces for it, but of course, using my ideas. Gotta remember to hydrate. But of course, in all of this, all the streamers are still going to get taxed. We're still going to get taxed on our full things. So any payouts that we're going to get from any streaming services, from all the extras, everything else, we're just still going to get taxed by the big dogs up on the Fed taxes at the end of the year. It's the way it goes. And our communities that we build, they, you know, they'll give us all the love that they can, but we're still going to get taxed on it. And the platforms are still going to get their cut. That's just how it works. I mean, I wish that we'd be able to get the, you know, donos and biddies and all that all cut down to the no tax on tips, because technically they're tips. But, you know, there's no way we're going to get around our taxes on that. Because the cap on this is if your workers earning under 150,000, 160,000. And that's basically for the little guys, you know. So $6,000 deduction for seniors. Okay, that basically is trying to cut out the taxes on like Social Security, that kind of stuff. People who earn very little. Interest on loans for the new cars up to 10,000. So yeah, if you buy a brand new car, yeah, you're not really going. This is basically for used cars, right? No, for new cars up to okay, I'm misunderstanding this. Okay, so if the interest on buying a new car, you can, like, you're going to be able to buy a new Tesla, and if the interest on it per year is 10,000 or higher, you only get to do the 10,000. Got it. tax credit for donos to scholarship grants. Okay. That's okay for people who are in college. Child tax credit. Okay, I gotta pay attention here. I got kiddos. Increases to 2,500, 2,200 through 2028, reverting to 2,000 thereafter. Low-income families may not fully benefit due to income thresholds. Okay, well, that's neither here nor there. The child tax credit is what it is. I mean, it went up around COVID, and there was a lot of fraud that ended up happening there on that. In fact, I will be outright forthright, not using true names, but my son Max, who's a teenager, his identity got stolen back in 2020. And somebody out there was actually claiming them on their taxes or was using his info to go through the taxes and whatever. But we weren't able to claim him for like the last 5 years because somebody would always beat us to the punch in February and just done. They just snagged it, you know, which was frustrating as all hell. So yeah, it sucked. Constantly getting the money stolen for, you know, the tax credit for him being a kid. And I don't know who was, you know, doing it. Because, of course, the Fed will never tell you. Now, Trump accounts. Okay, tax-deferred savings accounts for children. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. That's going to be one of those other things after the fact to actually go look at, see what exactly the details are. Okay, tax retirement benefits, 5% pay cut for federal employees, merit-based protections, 1% tax on remittance. Okay. Now the meat of things. Spending and policy changes. Okay, border security and immigration. Okay, ICE allocates $150 billion, $46.5 billion for border wall, migrant detention beds. Okay, so Alligator Alcatraz is in here. Deportation operations and funding, ICE agents, 1 million people annually. Wow. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of people going poof. Now, and when you kind of think about that, that's going to be a lot of people that are here that are just getting busted. That includes the people who are committing crimes other than the crime of not going through things the legal way. That includes those people, but it also includes the other people who are not wanting to do things right. So it's I have people that are friends that are legal immigrants who have come to this country, and I have not met anyone louder than them with regards to immigrants who are coming here just skipping past all of the paperwork. So yeah. Now, introduces new fees for asylum seekers and $10 billion fund for states aiding federal immigration. Okay, so that's gonna be different. Okay, so asylum seekers are gonna wind up witnessing new fees. Hey, pretty good, Freda, pretty good. How you doing? Now, apparently with this, they're gonna come in, they're seeking asylum, and when they're seeking asylum, they're going to experience new fees for processing. Well, that's gonna suck. But I don't know how much that's gonna cost. It's gonna cost some. Hopefully it's not several $100s just to file a form, but of course, this is the federal government we're talking about. Now, $10 billion fund to aid states with immigration enforcement. So, streaming's going pretty good. I mean, I'm relatively just starting out. I've only been at this for like a couple of months, so I'm brand new. I got to keep trying to keep pushing. You know how it goes. And, you know, hopefully there are people that, you know, enjoy hanging out with me. That's pretty much what I'm after. Just looking for people to talk to, looking at people to hang out with. I'm not exactly daily because I wish I could. I really wish I could. But you know how it goes. Some people got to work their daily grind before things take off. And, you know, it's having that day-to-day job kind of sucks. Everybody's got to pay bills and got to have nothing but respect for the people who watch you. Got to have respect for the people who work their stuff. See what I can do. See what I can do after stream. Now, going forward for this, the 10 billion, I mean, when you think about borders and everything, this includes everybody. I mean, you can fly in to like Nebraska, and with regards to federal enforcement, because I mean, there's no actual, I mean, the border wall is the border wall. Let's just leave that there. But you also have to contend with the fact that there are some people in the world who basically will fly in, and they can fly in as far as Minnesota. I mean, just straight across from Europe over right into the middle of the country and hop off the plane. And next thing you know, I mean, they got through. There are different places and different things. I mean, just not going into the paperwork of all of it. But they can get off the plane and then, you know, they have a run, you know? I mean, it's a thing. Well, I have to see about hitting me up for that later. So, now, with regards to defense, 153 billion, including 25 billion for Golden Dome, missile defense system, 29 billion for shipbuilding, and 15 billion for nuclear deterrence. Well, have to definitely see in regards to that, we're moving into the era of drones. So with regards to the era of drones, the shipbuilding, 29 billion for shipbuilding, it comes down to exactly what they're going to use the money on the shipbuilding. Are we going into old style stuff, or are we going to be trying to modernize things? Because if we're not modernizing, it's going to be 29 billion in wastage as far as I'm concerned. I mean, when you can, I mean, take for example Ukraine and the things that they were doing with drones and different things. They blew up a whole bunch of planes that were worth billions of dollars. You know, it was billions of dollars, and tantamount what they spent on it was flying lawnmowers. So 29 billion for shipbuilding to me actually says, okay, you could be wasting all of that money easily. And the Golden Dome missile defense system, that could be a good thing. It all comes down to how much you blow on the tech. If all of a sudden it's not going to be the greatest, then it is what it is. Medicaid cuts and reforms. Okay, the work requirement. There are a lot of people out there screaming about the work requirements. 80 hours a month. Okay, if that's only hourly, you know, it's for people under 65. Except parents of children under 14. Okay, I'll be honest, I make too much. I don't qualify for this. I mean, I work a job currently. Yeah, and people in the disabled community, there's, I mean, a lot of this tends to be a little bit of a nothing burger for the Medicaid thing, but sometimes this is meant for people who have true hardship. You know, reduces provider taxes from 6% to 3.5%, cuts funding. Yeah. Able-bodied people must meet the work requirements. Thanks, Dro. You're right. Must meet the work requirement. So, yeah, potentially causing 7.8 to 11.8 million people to lose coverage by 2034. A pretty good estimate, but that also comes down to the fact of able-bodied. And when we consider previous things, including what back in the Obama era when they created the marketplace. Yeah, when they started moving things towards that, it's kind of a rat race, honestly. If you don't qualify for Medicaid, then you can actually try to actually go to the marketplace to actually see what you can get. And that also comes down to the employer-funded healthcare. And trust me, don't even get me started on that nonsense, because trust me, mine is crap. We'll be honest here. Healthcare is a thing. It's expensive. There's a lot of different things that can happen. Your life could change in a moment's notice. And there's medically crippling debt out there. I mean, it's its own boondoggle. A lot of people will be out there politically screaming that we should have a government-funded healthcare system, which, of course, Medicaid is part of that whole thing, and people scream for Medicaid for all. Well, I'm Native American. I have access to socialized medicine in the United States. I will just put that out there right there. But do you know how inconvenient it is? Because, okay, if I want to get my teeth worked on, trust me, I don't have the greatest teeth in the world. I'm an old man. If I want to get my teeth worked on, I have to actually reach out to the IHS, and I have to put in for my appointment. My appointment could be 6 months down the road. And if I've got an infected tooth, well, tough luck, buddy. I've got to figure out how the heck I'm going to do antibiotics. I got to figure out everything else. I can show up there, try to get there for an emergency, whatever appointment, but that requires getting to the office at 5 o'clock in the morning, being in pain the whole time, crossing my fingers and hoping that they'll actually see me, and spending the entire day there. Now, I've actually been there once where all of a sudden I've had to sit on my keister all day and still didn't get seen. And then I got to figure out how the heck I'm going to actually call into work the next day because I'm in too much pain to be able to go back. And keep in mind, the hospital is at least an hour and a half away. And I have to spend gas money and everything else and lack of sleep and all of that just to get healthcare. It sucks. But the other side to some of the other arguments on this is other socialized medicine programs out there. I mean, you can say they're good for a lot of things. I mean, it's good to keep up with your appointments and be able to have it scheduled. But if you start out healthy, that's where it's good. Because you can wait the 6 months if you're completely healthy. It's when things start to go wrong with your health. That's when things start to suck. Because all of a sudden, there's all of these other things that you've got to do. And all the other things that you got to put up with. And it gets depressing and sad really quick. But the other side of the coin on this is when it's government funded, all of a sudden you have to ask, what is it that they'll cover? There's going to be limits. There are going to be things that all of a sudden you all of a sudden have. I mean, God forbid you catch the big C and life gives you the finger and says, here you go. You're going to be done. And you seek medical attention, and you didn't catch it early enough. So all of a sudden, it's going to be expensive as all get up. And I've heard stories, horror stories, of people who live in countries with medically viable, socialized medicine, that because they caught it too late, they just write you off and say, well, here's your end of life plan. And thanks, Dro. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Will they decide that an unborn child with Down syndrome doesn't deserve to live? I mean, well, that's where all of a sudden it comes down to the whole, if they're going to run a DNA test, even, to test for if there's problems, abnormalities, whatever. Yeah, I do remember hearing about that sort of thing that was going on, and whether or not they would actually be testing for that sort of thing. I mean, that comes down to its own moral quandaries, and whether or not the government should be allowed to have that sort of power. I mean, once you make a government paying the tab, it comes down to they're the ones paying the tab. Suddenly, they have more control over what does and does not get done. Like, all of a sudden, would you rather, I mean, this goes for like any government out there. Would you rather have the government in charge of, where the cutoff is with regards to cancer detection, and all of a sudden you find it, or some sort of birth defect that happens, or somebody has some sort of abnormality? Honest question, do you want them to be in control of what is going on? I mean, this is honest questions, just on a level playing field. I don't care where you stand politically, but this is an honest debate question. Where to put it? I mean, you can argue that would be preferable, but then all of a sudden it comes down to the personal cost of when it affects you personally. And when you face that hardship, if all of a sudden you either don't have the money to be able to actually fund and help your family, that's the side of the coin that in the United States we tend to be on right now. But then there's that other side of that coin. I like to actually call what I'm talking here the swap test. The swap test. It's like, okay, people can't afford the healthcare, they can't help their family member. But there's the other side of the coin. If the government is funding the healthcare, all of a sudden they get to decide whether or not they will fund the procedures to be able to actually help your family. Where do we draw the line? That's the part that sucks. I mean, I could see government supplied healthcare allowed for certain things, like all of a sudden, promoting health, that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to the other side on the bad note, when are they able to actually say, it's too far for us, we can't afford that, we're not going to be able, we have the cutoff? But if they were to offer forward, because I've heard horror stories where you can't even offer to pay because they won't do it. And then that's why there's what they like to call medical tourism. People actually fly to a different country to see if they can get a procedure done. And that's just the obscene. Sorry about the tangent on this, guys. Sorry, ADHD tangent. Oh. But yeah, Dro, you've got a good point there. For dental for all would be great, but that's one of the things where I also have a problem, dear. Just for chat, Dro is actually my waifu. Head mod. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have dental tourism out of this country, and that's one of the things that I also remember talking to a dentist about, is healthcare doesn't consider dental included, and it should be included, because talking to a dentist, if you can't take care of your teeth, it can lead to a host of other problems that are going to impact your overall health, and it just cascades from there. Why in the United States dental is separate from holistic healthcare, that is an entire different ballywick, and it is BS why we actually have it separated. And yeah, I've been mad about that since I was 18, when all of a sudden I was starting to have dental problems. It was ridiculous. It's like I have to carry regular insurance, and then I have to carry dental on top of that, and the dental insurance is crap no matter where you go, because your dental expenses are going to go way over. And that's even some of the things that even me, who can go to the IHS, no problem, I can go and not get a bill, but it's going to take me 6 months to get there. Is the tooth still going to be there after the 6 months? That's the question. You know, is it going to rot out of my head, and then all they got to do is reach in with the pliers and pull out what remains, and that's it? You know? Next thing you know, you don't have any teeth. And I remember hearing on other streamers' statements, and I agree with them, and there are other people in the world. Yeah, in the United States, if you have a ton of money, you can afford teeth. If you don't have money, yeah. Yep. Yeah, there was another streamer recently who had to do a root canal. Hers was $1,200. She can't exactly afford this stuff either. It's just bad all around. Yeah, true. Now, of course, moving on to SNAP here. Stricter work requirements for able-bodied adults. Yep. Again, I don't qualify for this. I understand the stricter work requirements. They're trying to actually cut back on people actually using SNAP, which, of course, this is where it leads into SNAP is another hard bugaboo to talk about. Because do you know how much money SNAP actually shells out to a lot of companies? Nash Finch, a lot of the other companies, Walmart, you name it. They make a ton of money, government money, coming into them from SNAP. Now, I can see where they would be against, you know, this whole stricter work requirement and cutback. So, with politics, it's going to be having its own shakeup. Yeah, shifts some costs to states, cuts funding, potentially affecting 8 to 11 million recipients, including 16 million children, 8 million seniors. Yeah, because, yeah, there's not enough money to go around, and we're kind of facing our own collapse here. So, it sucks. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can be with you on that, Tro. You used to be a cashier. New iPhones and Snap. Yeah, but the one thing to remember is those guys were the exception and not the rule. They were the exception. Those were the abusers. They account for maybe 4% of the frickin' total. And most of those people, they're going through the Walmart checkout line because they can. Because the one thing you don't realize is they would still be going through, and most of what they're getting is likely getting laundered. That's why I didn't like those when it came to the Walmart people. You know, the Walmart Americans that are doing that sort of thing. That was the ridiculous part, is they would go through, they would do the stuff, and they'd be laundering it and turning it around so that they could actually afford different things. It's mind-boggling, the minds of the people who are aiming to rip others off. So, of course, energy and environment phases out the Biden-era clean energy tax credits for EVs and incentivizes fossil fuel production. Okay. That's a flip-flop. That actually is turning off of a spigot to turn on a spigot. That's all that is. Because it goes back to the previous Trump administration when all of a sudden oil was at a really cheap price and everything like that. And they turned on the spigot on the United States so that they could actually build up the oil reserve and all of that. Oh, yeah. That calls back to he decided he was going to turn on all of the clean energy credits and flip all of that around. But then what Biden era did was they did that, but then they used all of the oil stockpile that had been created during the previous administration then to burn through all that money. They burned through all of that money. The entire stockpile got wiped out real fast because it just got dumped onto the economy through that to basically afford everything else. Yeah, the budget surplus that got created from all of that got wiped out because it was basically an extra payday for them. So now we're back to the other side of things where things are going to get a little bit harsher and harder and go through the hard times again to try to actually get things more balanced again. Yeah. The more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. Now, prohibits Medicaid funds to clinics providing... going after Planned Parenthood, Hyde Amendment. Okay, yeah. Basically, this is just a political boondoggle piece trying to say that, the government should not actually be funding elective surgeries. That's where that's how they word it, is elective surgeries. And that's where the push is. So that's where they put that wording. Now, economic and social impact, deficit and debt. Adding another 4.5 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. That's the part where Elon got mad because he came in thinking that he would be able to actually try to streamline things, and that's why they got all in a tizzy and they got into a bit of a fight because the whole spending thing. 4 to 4.5 trillion in tax cuts, partially offset by spending cuts. Yeah, it's lowering the tax cut, lowering taxes, but there's not enough spending cuts. So of course, bro's gonna beef. Just gonna say, that's how that went. High earners gained significantly. Top 0.1% gain 290,000 annually, while middle income households modest benefits. Low income face reduced Medicaid and SNAP benefits, potentially increasing costs. Yeah, it's kind of like what I said. In between on everything. Gotta do what you gotta do to actually keep things alive and just roll through the years. It's no different than what it was 4 years ago. It's no different than what it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it's where we're at. Of course, criticisms. Democrats and nonpartisan groups argue the bills favoring the wealthy, cutting safety nets, risking financial instability. Yeah, promoting growth, secures borders, and protects programs for vulnerable groups by reducing waste. Now, that's where it winds up on the entire frickin' debate stage for all of that. Ugh. That's a whole debate stage for all of that. And, tangent moment, I actually jumped over. Education. Creating the National Private School Voucher Program. Tax credits up to 4 to 5 billion annually, tightening Pell Grant and student loan eligibility and impacting low-income students. Yeah, that part, I will go right here. My kids are homeschooled. So it's the part that sucks. A school voucher program like I had previously been talking about with regards to where do we go when the government decides that it's going to have its say on things. Right now, as it goes, homeschools in many parts of the country, there's less purse strings attached with regards to it, because the moment you start inserting government money, they start having a say in things. Whereas most homeschoolers in a lot of states do not get the government funding, do not have the voucher. They basically have to follow the guidelines that they are given with regards to education. Yes, there are state controls on homeschooling. A lot of different places have them. You have to be able to prove that you are teaching your children correctly, that you are teaching them how to actually do math, how to be smart, how to actually do things. I mean, there's a bit of leeway. I mean, the simplest way I can break this down for people is if you take away all of the dead time in the public school, the dead time accounts for 4 hours out of the day, which means you can homeschool your kids for 4 hours out of the day, so long as you actually cover all of the subjects. If you cover making sure they're able to read, make sure they're able to write, make sure they're able to type, make sure they can think critically, make sure they can do math, get into understanding history and all of the different subjects. You are required to do a minimum of 4 hours in the day. And that's just the standard curriculum. Okay, we do that in our own, but that doesn't stop us that all of a sudden we do 8 in the morning until noon, then we break for lunch, and then after that, it doesn't stop our kids from going forward. My little kiddo, who is like in grade school levels, he's doing trigonometry on his own. Like, as soon as the school day is done, he's done with all of that other stuff. And then all of a sudden he moves forward and starts practicing higher math. Yeah. Think along the lines of like a 4th grader. His TISM, he's autistic. His TISM is math. So anything to do with math, he's there. Boy's going to be doing calculus before I know it. And then I'm going to have to be grading his homework. So that's how that goes for all of this. Personally, I don't want to see a voucher program. Doesn't need to be done. I don't need the money because I already have enough guidelines that I have to follow with regards to the states. And the moment you actually have the voucher program, that's going to expand outward, and then it's slippery slope time. All of a sudden they start throwing government money at the homeschoolers, and boom. Suddenly they have even more say on what you're actually doing. So it's kind of along the lines of censorship, you know. It sucks. But we're going to move on. Let's go a little bit further in depth here. The National School Voucher Program. Yep. Republican domestic policy bill includes all but the wealthiest families. Yep. They must opt in, which limits its reach. Okay. Approve the first national school voucher plan, which will help all but the wealthiest families. Passed on Thursday as part of the bill. Now heads to the desk. Families who earn up to 300% of their area's median income, equivalent to more than $300,000 in some parts of the country, will be eligible, including those already sending their children to private schools. Okay. Decades-long campaign by a coalition of private education advocates, religious conservatives, and some parents who argued that families should have the freedom to choose. Okay, this comes back to that school choice argument. Sometimes, these people are off their rocker. because most people actually go for the public school option. That's the majority of people, because they can't afford it, because they have to maintain a two earner status. They have to work their tails off just to make the bills paid, to get everything going and keep things rolling. And I'm gonna say I'm not in the most prestigious position myself, because first off, I don't make that much money, but I stretch everything down to squeezing the last dime. Okay, so, and the last 10 years have been hard, because I'm the breadwinner in my household. So, things are tough. Things will always be tough. And this kind of thing just kind of smacks of entitlement. You want to do private education for vouchers? And it's like, wow. Just wow. Biggest advancement of that goal we've ever had. Chief Executive of American Federation for Children that supports private school choice. They want to be able to open it up so that they can get extra money provided to the private school system, which, of course, the one thing they might not realize is the moment that the private school voucher system happens, it means that the public school requirements are going to flood over to the private schools. Now, this comes down to the opt-in, opt-out. Depends on the states that actually do the opt-in. Yep. Uncapped tax credit that could cost taxpayers over $50 billion a year. Yeah. It's basically siphoning money away from the public school system to push it into the private. Ugh. So of course they're just going to keep pushing. Most Republican-led states already have or are planning to roll out some kind of voucher program. Over 1 million American students participate. Yeah. Differs significantly from some of the most popular models, relies on taxpayers to make donations to nonprofits in exchange for credit on the tax bill. In turn, nonprofits grant scholarships. Okay. To me, that screams of money laundering, but hey, what do I know? I'm just some stupid VTuber on the internet. This setup could be difficult to administer. You think? It's intentionally looking convoluted to me. Yeah. How much money each child could receive for tuition and education expense, whether homeschooling families can benefit. Yeah. Honestly, I don't want homeschooling families to benefit. Keep it away from me. Because I don't want to be looped into all of this. Because if somebody else out there takes advantage of it and ends up using it to, siphon away the money for their own personal purposes and their own gain, then all of a sudden I take AoE damage. No thank you. I don't want to be standing in the damn fire. Yeah, voucher plan comes as Trump administration sought to reduce federal government's role in public education. Ah, take the L, dude. You do this, and the federal government gets more involved, not less. Take the L. Yeah. Administration said earlier this week that it would not release as expected nearly $7 billion in funding for public schools for next year, throwing budgets into uncertainty. Well, of course, because the siphon off is going to happen apparently, and then all of a sudden we end up having that circular roundabout way on the funds. So yeah, it's going to be a grab bag for the money. Pardon me. Hard to imagine how we could possibly afford to spend money to subsidize private and religious schools right now, said Sasha Pudleski, Director of Advocacy for AASA, the School Superintendents Association, represents public school district leaders. Okay, how it works. Spur donations to nonprofits that provide scholarships. Yeah, you get your whole contribution back. Oh, really? Nonprofits then dole out sponsorships to families who pay for the tuition, books, and other expenses. Yeah. Public school students are likely eligible. Yeah, but that still goes into the private practice. All of a sudden, you apply for a private school, and they can tell you no. And if you've already paid forth the money towards the frickin' 501c3, you just got pwned. States that already have voucher programs, federal scholarship could be stacked. Oh, that's terrible. Because stacking and layering is not a good look. Estimated that 138 million Americans would be eligible to use the tax credit. Yeah, you get the tax credit, but still, if they deny you the ability to go to that school, well, then you're still pwned because you're out the money. And then you got to send your kid to the public school anyway. So they just collected your dollars. And then next thing you know, come tax season, you basically get told that, oh yeah, that donation, it wasn't eligible to begin with. And boop, there went the money. So yeah, this just looks real awesome. Everybody looking like, oh, this is nice and shiny and good, but yeah. But there is one thing I want to mention in the whole summarization, calling back to before. The Short Act was nowhere in there. I didn't see any mention of the Short Act. All the gun people. Yep, sorry, bros. Doesn't look like that actually went through, so you get to be mad along with everybody else who is a rights person on that one. So, that's an L. Because I just thought of that. 1,700 per person limit was a significant change from an earlier version of the legislation, which offered dollar for dollar tax credit. Oh, jeez. This is just getting ridiculous. The states must choose to participate. Yeah, that's going to get ugly. Clearly celebrating it, have work to do. Uh-huh. Yeah, do the vouchers help? Well, we'll see how this plays out, shall we? Because, of course, that goes over the different studies. Okay. We have to be realistic. Encourage Democrats to use the political power to push for vouchers to go to low-income students in underperforming schools. Look at where our current education system has landed in the party. We're not delivering policy-wise and losing support politically. We have to try new ideas and should be open to anything. Well, that's the problem. Like, having the government involved in a lot of things just makes things overly complicated, and it increases the amount of space for things to just get messed up. I mean, seriously. Yeah. I'll go with it. I'll go with that, you know. Hey, Yugito. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, be honest. That was the re-election attempt. Yeah. Happy 4th to you. Happy 4th to you. But yeah, I'm gonna go on to something that's a little more nice, because now that we're all done with the political stuffs that were going on from yesterday, kind of sucks, but yeah, we'll see how things play out here shortly. Stop killing games. I went to college for game development, don't you know? So yeah, kind of a bone in this fight. Pardon me, have to hydrate. So, in regards to this, stop killing games. Yes, it is a movement to actually do things for the good of the consumer with regards to a lot of it. Now, if you actually live in the EU, I would definitely say, I mean, I don't know who all is in the chat that would possibly be for being in the EU, but if you're out there, go there. StopKillingGames.com. Sign that petition. Slap that. Because the one thing that I definitely have to mention here is, yes, they needed to get their 1 million, but that's not enough. That's not enough, boys and girls. That's not enough. Because we don't know how many of these signatures are going to get invalidated. Like any petition. It's the same thing that goes for a lot of different states in midterm years, even in the United States. If there's some sort of petition measure or whatever, people have to be out on the streets and they have to sign and whatever, but then it has to go through a validation process, and if you don't get enough validated signatures, then they're not going to discuss it. They're going to throw the initiative in the trash, and sometimes you can't try again for years. So getting this on their books is the quickest avenue to getting change with regards to the gaming space. Because this all started with, I mean, let me just grab a thing here and pull that up. Okay. That all began with this. The Crew. All began with this and what ended up happening to it. Because the game The Crew, that actually had its problems. Because Ubisoft originally killed The Crew, and they shut down the servers, they shut down everything, and then they yoinked it right off the internet. All of a sudden, all the people that had played it, they'd played it for an extensive amount of time, they couldn't get a refund. It's just, the product was eliminated. This is where it comes down to the argument of licensing. And the Stop Killing Games initiative is, in essence, in order to basically make it so that there's an end-of-life plan. End-of-life plan. Like, all of a sudden, you've done your thing. You came out with your thing. You put it out there. And this is an initiative that's straight up attacking live service games. MMOs, things that actually are required to tie into the internet. The initiative, to sum up, is basically so that we as gamers can buy our game and then we can continue to play it, even when the company that made it is done with it. They're over with it. They're not going to do anything with it. And at the very end, if it had servers attached to it, then they would shut them off, but this is going to force their hand to make it so that, just from a dev standpoint, from all the previous architecture that's out there in the world, this basically throws it at Activision Blizzard into their faces if this goes through, and it happens the way that Stop Killing Games wants it. It means that originally, this is like they had their birth of Classic because of this sort of thing, because they actually had people who had gotten their hands on the code for the servers to be able to do, the unofficial servers for WoW, for Classic. And they couldn't action on it. They had a legal problem because they couldn't shut down all the servers. They had to launch Classic so that they could. So now they're running Classic servers and they're running retail servers. But this basically says to them, when you're done and it is no longer profitable for you, and there is no possibility, because all of a sudden the overhead is too high, you can't afford it, you can't do it anymore. You need to create an end-of-life plan where you just give up. You have to hand retail back to the players. And then they get to play it for free because you're no longer going to be running it. Or it also throws into things like, everybody's talking stuff about Pirate Software recently with regards to this because he had a hot take on it. And yeah, of course he had a hot take on it. I looked into that from a dev standpoint to figure out exactly what it is he was, talking about. I'm like, okay, why are you taking the stance that you are? And lo and behold, in the back end, he himself, his game is a live service game. Heartbound, it's a live service game. What that says is he doesn't want to do this because he wants to be able to roach out at the very end and drop it from the Steam store and nobody be able to play the license for it ever again, and nobody's able to play it offline. He wants to be done so that he never has to come back to it. And on top of that, he doesn't want to be required to hand over his code. He doesn't want his code to wind up in like Internet Archive. He doesn't want it to be in the abandonware pile. Because of course, that's the way he sees it. Now, that's unfortunate, bro. That's unfortunate. You don't want your code or your code base or anything like that to wind up out there. Now, that calls into question, what exactly is it with your code that you don't want out there? That's a good question. What's in your code that you don't want for others to have access to when you're all done? When you've retired? When you've moved on? Like you've moved on to your next project? That's the good question. So, yeah, most powerful option at our disposal. Yes, it is, because the truth on all of this is the simple fact that he and others like him don't want to actually support the gamers after the fact. When they leave and it's all done, and they want to be able to just delete it and move on so that they don't have to continue supporting. That's perfectly fine. Stop Killing Games is all about actually setting up your end of life plan so that you can just figure out how to hand it over. Like throw it at Internet Archive, call it a day. And of course, I understand the security concerns that others are going to have, because the other security concerns on the back end is when you actually throw it at Internet Archive, that means you're going to have to hand over all the code base, and whatever gets uploaded there for people to play and run needs to be vetted properly. And if you've got some dirty secrets hidden inside your code, they're gonna get found. And next thing you know, it's gonna be internet drama for the rest of us slop tubers out there, you know? It's gonna be, you know, talk of the town for maybe 4 days. And then we'll move on. But then again, everybody else will remember that's what you did. And then all of a sudden we'll be looking at the past, and how many of us are gonna have to question what it was that you were doing. I mean, what kind of breaches were there? What kind of nasty little things in the closet were there? So, and of course the update. Yep. EUIT will do pre-checks for bogus fake signatures before sending to members to confirm. Filtration process in place before it goes to members for verification. But yeah, confirmed 20% above 1 mil should be enough. So they're still rolling. They're still going. They're going to get it. And we're going to be better for it. So we should kick it on. So let's move on into the drama, shall we? Pardon me a second. Snowcone. She went to Streamer University and managed to pull off a few other things. But, pardon me a second, kill my BGM for this. So, let's see here. What exactly did she have to say? Snowcone talks about how expensive it is being a content creator. It's the whole. Yep.
Y'all know how expensive it is to keep up with content creation? You can get a 10K check from Twitch. What the fuck is a 10K check when you gotta spend 5K on trips to travel, $500 on setup shit, fucking $2,000 on your rent, fucking $200 on Wi-Fi, $200 on IRL toolkit. You gotta pay the clippers, pay a YouTube editor. Chat, I don't think y'all realizing I be going in the negative doing this shit, okay? Y'all know how expensive it is.
Yeah, going in the negative. Okay. Now, I will have to admit, somebody who went to Europe, I've actually traveled. You're spending 5K on travel? Okay, that better be for creating content. That better be for creating content. Because seriously. Now, if you're traveling, $2,000 on rent. Now, okay. $2,000 on rent. What are you doing with the $5,000 travel when you're spending $2,000 on rent? Where's your travel expenses on top of that? Because if you're traveling all over the world, you need to slice out how much your hotels are costing. You need to slice out how much it is for your airfare, everything else. It's like, okay, stream setup, $500. Why are you spending $500 on your stream setup monthly? Monthly. What do you got? Are you like running 2 Starlinks? Like, why are you shelling out $500 for your internet? Because that's crazy. But of course, $400 for the Wi-Fi IRL toolkit. Dude, why are you constantly paying for that over and over? It's like, what exactly are you running, dog? And of course, paying the editors being that last. Okay, you're gonna pay editors last. Uh-huh. That's just ridiculous. And of course, there are other people on Twitter talking about this. Yeah, Nux, coming in hot. Imagine spending $60K a year on travel. Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with Juju. I used to travel the world back in the days. Didn't have those travel costs. What are you doing? Because, okay, when I traveled, I went through numerous countries. It was 3 months worth of travel at a minimum for the 5K. That's, yeah, 5K. Yeah, that was able to get you several months in traveling through several countries. 5K a month? Dude, cut your expenses. Yep. Can't budget 120K a year. Literally a skill issue. Yeah. Yep. I like Ellie here. Not knowing how to live and create content on 10K a month is a skill issue. Because, yeah, if I was 10K a month, dude, I would cover all of my bills, everything else off the top, and that would be about maybe 3/10. 3/10. Straight off the top. To cover all of the base bills and expenses. And then on top of that, we throw in another 1K for food. And then after that, you can reinvest the rest of that into the rest of the stream. Because seriously, that would be the tops. That would work. But of course, having talked about that enough, I'm gonna grab a few things and let's see here. Wanted to talk about a couple last things before we actually go with things for a moment. Because, of course, we're going to move on to the next spot. Because there's a different problem out there, and somebody had things to say about it, and I'm going to let Andrew cover it just a bit. We're just going to talk a little bit over him, maybe a little bit as well in the pauses, but he's one of my favorite lawyers out there. Shout out to Andrew Esquire.
Twitch has a brand new Hasan problem, and this one could have huge repercussions, both legal and non-legal. We're going to get into that today. Of course, on the Legal Mindset, we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and I'm bringing you this fast facts premiere, a quick and dirty version, while I'm once again on a short vacation in lovely Phuket, Thailand. So another hotel room, another place, but still bringing you the freshest news. So make sure you like this video if you like the fast facts versions.
I still like the fact that he lives in Thailand, he flies all over Southeast Asia, and he deals with court things. And he still takes time to actually talk to the rest of us out here just to teach us different legal things.
So let's get right into it. Twitch has always taken a preferential stance when it comes to enforcing its guidelines, or at least it, when looking at its terms of service, has not always applied those equally to all groups and people. And one of the people that gets the most criticism for this, and that many folks across the board have said is the really recipient of a lot of the benefit of the terms of service without the burden of punishment, has been one Hasan Piker.
Of course he's going to be talking about the dude up top. Well, it is what it is, I guess. Happy 4th, people.
Now, today, there was an absolutely extreme incident which really points out the problem for Twitch in having this unequal enforcement involving Hasan, and how this can have legal consequences. And this is involving him swinging around what appears to be, and that's the very key here legally and overall, what appears to be a weapon. So let's take a look at the video. And of course, this is video that I found over on X. Which highlights this incident. So we'll take this clip here and give some commentary as we go.
It's time to crusade Iran and Gaza. Mamdani communists. Let's go to war against the left.
So so to give you some background here, it appears there's a chatter in his chat who is made a bunch of comments. Obviously, these are comments that are not fitting with the vibe in the crowd of Hasan's chat. Obviously, for any of this, he would have the ability to block and or ban this person. Of course, every single content creator retains the right to ban people out of their chat for whatever.
Yep, that we do. We do, with regards to whatever's going on.
Whatever reason. Some people are more permissive, some people are more restrictive. That's really up to the creators on their platform. If they choose to ban people for anything, that's up to them. We wouldn't be here today if this was just a block and ban incident, which once again, I think there was plenty of grounds for him as a creator saying, hey, I don't want this person here. And some of this language was even pretty extreme, saying hang Hasan for treason. Yeah, that's pretty extreme. And you know what? Blocking and banning someone for that would be called for. If someone came into my chat or anybody else's chat and said that about that creator, yeah, they would probably catch a ban. They would probably catch a block and a ban, and possibly a report, a broader report. But the response that Hasan gives here is not proportional nor appropriate to these comments. Let's play this.
In our sincerity and actually delivering for the very working people who've been left behind by our politics.
So let's be clear.
Yeah.
He's gone and retrieved what appears to be a pistol. Now, many people have pointed out it could be airsoft or it is airsoft or whatever else. The key here is that it appears to be a real weapon. I'll also note, as someone who played airsoft for like 8-9 years as a kid, I had MP5s, I had pistols, I had a sniper rifle, even an airsoft sniper rifle. You're supposed to have an orange tip or a marker on the end of an airsoft. That would be not a typical airsoft to lack that marker or remove that orange tip, even though, of course, some people do that. Some people make it more realistic. But the key here, and this is a key that is not just in analyzing this for Twitch terms of service, but also broader for the law, is that you can make a physical threat. You can make a threat or try to intimidate somebody with even a fake weapon, with a fake knife, with a fake...
Which is very true, which definitely pushes things into the hard zone, very hard zone. So this is just going to be rough. I mean, going forward, I am a little bit nervous here.
Gun with a fake bomb. If you were going to try to hijack a plane and you attempted that with a fake gun, it would not be material in terms of your defense. You would not be able to say, oh, but, well, it was fake, so I couldn't do it all along. You know, when you get caught and arrested and thrown in jail, you don't get off because, oh, it was fake. No, you would lead a reasonable person to believe that was real, and a reasonable person could have fear of that knife, gun, bomb, whatever, despite the fact that it's not objectively real. So that's a defense a lot of people brought up, and I don't think that stands up. Let's continue here.
Yeah, might not stand up at all, especially if it goes for, you know, if things go down the legal route, this is going to get messy, and it's going to get messy fast. That's why I'm a bit nervous on this one, because I didn't realize this had happened. Because, yeah, I didn't know this is what was going... Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm just... Oh.
Politics compared with what President Trump has been able to do. You know, over the same period of time that I've been running, has been... I tell him, the last person couldn't get my name right.
Yeah.
We defeated them, and that's what it's going to look like again.
Okay, fair enough.
Once again, brandishing the weapon, flaring it around. Obviously, there's a point to this. Obviously, there's an individual who this is directed at. You know, this is something that's not really ambiguous.
Yeah, you have to ask, why are you doing this? Because this makes no sense. I mean, why would you do this? It calls into rationality, and it's like, what? I'm at a loss for words, chat. I really am. It's like, what is going on here?
And the general intention.
As you may...
Oh, you found his account?
Today, I will show you 3
Oh, you gotta be kidding. No. No. Oh, no.
ways you can use your smart.
So here's another crazy thing about the doxing. So now that you've paired, so you've linked up brandishing a weapon, what appears to be a real weapon,
Oh,
whether or not
God.
it is, whether it's an airsoft or whether it's fake. You've paired up brandishing a weapon with
no.
doxing, which is revealing their private information, which, by the way, in certain jurisdictions, in certain places in the world, is illegal. So you've done two things.
It depends on where exactly this goes, because this could yeah, I have shivers. I have shivers on this one because it depending on which locality that this is out of. I mean, I don't know where the person is, whatever, don't care to go looking, but this is just unhinged. This is unhinged. Like, this could have serious repercussions, and this could be serious repercussions across the board for like everyone. This sucks. This just sucks. Period.
Which are potentially illegal. There's the brandishing, the threats, the intimidation, and then you've got the doxing, right? So you've got two separate things you're now doing together. So that this is combining to make it even worse.
Wait, this is the guy?
First thing we want to do is download the YouTube VPN app, which we can do through the first link in the description.
Bro.
And of course, I do like the pop up there, just explaining that this is clearly against their TOS. This is something
Yeah, it
that
is.
not,
This is, like,
holistically,
seriously.
both the doxing and the threatening is, of course, against
Like,
the
what?
Twitch terms of service, right?
Write a petition? Let's do a crusade, he says. Let's do a
What?
fucking crusade, he says. Let's hang Hassan and Mamdani for treason, he says.
What?
The fuck are you gonna do? Go on a fishing expedition? Try to fucking put malware in my phone? Is that what you're gonna do? You skinny bitch.
And to be clear, nothing that Hassan said would be necessarily impermissible. He could say all those things.
Yeah.
He could call them, I
True.
believe his technical word was a skinny bitch, all he wants. That would have been perfectly fine. He could yell at this guy the whole night, scream at this guy the whole night. The problem was the weapon combined with the doxing, right?
Yeah,
All the
that's-
other stuff he could do. That's his show. He can run it how he wants. That wouldn't necessarily be against TOS
Yeah,
to just
that's
yell at the guy the whole night
nuts.
and make fun of the guy. That's fine. Do it your way. Not what we do on my channel. But hey, he can do it on his channel all he wants.
Very true. A lot of people out there have a lot of freedom to do what they want with regards to their streams. And that tends to be how it goes, because it comes down to the content that your audience prefers and goes along with.
But with that, you open yourself up to a bunch of problems. And Twitch is opened up to a bunch of problems because now they've got to decide what they're going to do with Hassan. And in the past, they've only given him slaps on the wrist.
Oh God. Forcing a platform's hand is this. I don't know where this is gonna go, and it just makes things even more nervous because there's gonna be a response. I don't know how the response is gonna go. I mean, I'm gonna watch with rapt attention on this space for where we're at, but this just makes me highly nervous with the state of the platforms and everything that's going on, because everybody I remember the days when Twitch was the only home we had to be able to watch streamers. And it was a place where I actually enjoyed going to actually watch people do their things, talk about things, and hang out with people and have a good time. And I may be looking at it with rose-colored glasses on this to, have that chill stream where we could actually go and hang out and chat with people and have a good time. But sometimes back in the day, it was where if somebody did something that was problematic, it was bam, instant, boom. They had TOS, and boom, all of a sudden it had to either get cleaned up or they wound up like Johnny Somali. They were gone, and that was it. And that dude did enough bad that even the other platforms started to actually kick him off. And I don't know if he's got a platform left. But that's how it is. If you're doing things that are violating TOS, even myself, I get nervous when all of a sudden it comes down to I try to keep things, within the rules. Got to follow the rules. I have to follow the rules, right?
That is, they've given him 1 day or 24-hour bans or sometimes 12-hour bans. And that's been all they've done with him. But now we've got a serious problem because we've got a situation in which if he is not banned for this, this opens up this behavior for others. So it opens up this behavior, these threats for other people, which can bring on what appears to be real weapons, knives, bombs, and dox people, threaten them. And here's the problem for Twitch. They open themselves up for not just losing advertisers, which is a big non-legal issue, not just looking bad as a brand, because obviously...
Yeah, that's the other thing. The advertisers, I mean, we have to keep things within the rules. We have to follow our TOS, because without the advertisers, we don't have the platform. Without the people that are funding our ability to actually be here, to talk with our people, to actually interact, I mean, to have our homes on stream, that's the big deal. I mean, we have to actually be allowed to have it straight in the way it is, because if all the advertisers say nope, it's not worth it anymore and we're gone, well, dude, it collapses like a deck of cards, and then all of a sudden there's no money to keep things alive anymore. And that's what I'm afraid of, is all of a sudden, you know, too many advertisers pull, and then next thing you know, nobody's got a home anymore. That's why I'm nervous. That's why I got shivers. That's why I got shakes. It's like, I'm just starting in this space, and all of a sudden this stuff is going on, and I don't want this to go away. I want everybody to be able to hang out, come, have a chill time, you know, watch what game you prefer with the streamer of your choice, and, you know, be able to chat with everybody else who's actually having a good time and talking about the content that's currently in progress, you know? I mean, sometimes come in and watch them playing a game and bug a streamer, you know? I mean, hey, that's a bit of the fun part, you know?
Nobody wants to be the platform in which people are openly brandishing weapons and threatening others and doxing them. That's not good for a platform. But you open yourself up to illegal consequences as well. Now, obviously, many people know the breach of contract route, and there are arguments in terms.
Hold up, pause. What? Breach of contract? Now I guess I'm learning today.
Of breaching the contract between the creator and the platform, in terms of banning somebody for one type of behavior, whereas you don't ban somebody for another. So you don't ban Hassan for this, but let's say another creator is banned for this. Well, there might be a cause of action open up there. Now, there's a lot of challenges with that. That's a difficult one. But one that's even more interesting, and one that is really untested, and in fact, there may be many people looking to test this, is a consumer type action under a private right of action. Every state has their consumer laws, and
Yep, and that's why I mentioned earlier that, you know, confusing with states, laws, and different things, and municipalities and different spots. I mean, we're talking the internet here, so it could be any number of places that something could well up from, and that's the scary. Is what's legal in one spot is illegal in another, and it comes down to whether or not there's, you know, platform space and that it's actually there, and, you know, what other legalities. I leave it up for the lawyers, the actual lawyers that are going to be doing it. A law tuber, of course, can go over it with the broad brush strokes, but when it comes down to it, for the actual locality, that's where it's going to get tricky.
those laws are sometimes very, very strong. And one thing they protect against is unfair and deceptive practices. And it indeed is a very strong case to say it is an unfair and deceptive practice to benefit some people while punishing others. Because this bias, this, for example, Hassan bias, is not disclosed anywhere. It's not given out in the terms of...
Okay. Now, this is just things that I remember from my days being in the gaming industry. I mean, we're going to roll back time by about 10 plus years, going way, way back. Because, of course, in the gaming industry, you also have to learn about different banking things and different financial stuff and everything like that. But they have a thing out there known as what's, disparate impact. It has to do with the discrimination laws, that when it comes to when somebody comes up to the cage and all of a sudden, you have to play fair. They come up to exchange their money. You have to actually work with them with their money. It's like all of a sudden they come in to cash in their chips, and you are required to actually pay them the full amount of their money. You cannot shortchange their money just because of who they are, or if you know that person, or, you know, any other myriad of factors. You are supposed to treat everyone equally. You cannot do bait and switching. You can't do anything else. When it comes to everybody there, you're supposed to treat everybody correctly. You cannot just impact one person differently than another, because it's illegal. That's how that tends to work. And I'm only coming at this from an American mindset on this, but I'm pretty sure, like Andrew's getting at here, is there are different countries that have different laws that also fall into this category, be it Japan, Thailand, Korea, doesn't matter. Everybody tends to agree that basically doing something against somebody for purposes of who they are, you know, treating one person different from another with respect to all of this, is illegal in a majority of countries. That when it comes down to actually treating people equally, you need to treat people equally. Even in contracts, in business laws, in different things, and just doing things. And that's where he's kind of getting at this. It's, other than being nervous, I'm also trying to contain and take a silent prayer moment to calm myself. It kind of sucks, but here we are.
The service. When you read the terms of service, nowhere does it say everyone will be punished except for Hasan Piker. Everyone will be banned except for Hasan Piker. Or, for example, if you want to be more broad, everyone will be banned except people who share Hasan Piker's political beliefs or affiliations or associations. If that was disclosed publicly, then fair dues, then you can do what you're trying to do. Of course, advertisers may have an issue with that, but legally it wouldn't be as deceptive. But now you're deceiving the consumer, both the people that are consuming the content, that are expecting that their favorite content creators will not be banned.
Let's not get it twisted. I got no problems with Hasan being on any platform. I really don't. I don't have a problem with anybody being on the platforms. Everybody has a right to be where they are. And just, if they follow the rules, they follow the rules. If they don't follow the rules, equal treatment. That's all I want, you know? I mean, just like any other creator. I would love to have it the way it is, you know? I don't want people booted off the platform. I mean, the more of us here, the more choice there is, and I'm all for choice.
And then seeing them get banned and deceiving the creators themselves by lulling them into a belief that they can stream on your platform safely and do what they want, just like Hasan, but then they're ultimately punished. And they're punished for a much longer period of time. They're losing a much larger slice of revenue, memberships, subscriptions, etc., affiliate deals than Hasan. So you're able to point to that and say, I have damages because I am being banned for 7x, 10x, 30x.
Oh, God. And from my previous knowledge of different things in legal sphere, that's not good. Because if you can quantify it, like he's getting into, he used the actual term damages, which triggered me. Because whenever a lawyer talks damages, that means it's quantifiable loss. They can actually give $1 or yen, or they can put a specific amount to it. And when that happens, that's when things get ugly.
It's way longer than Hasan, and I can bring this private cause of action for an unfair and deceptive practice on the part of Twitch. And there's a lot of folks that may be opened up for that. So looking at this, real big problem, and would be even a bigger problem if there was a real incident where somebody got into an altercation where there was a threat made like Hasan, and then somebody responded with force. We saw the case of Sin City Manny in Las Vegas, the streamer that responded.
I saw about this. I didn't react to it. I didn't pull it up. I didn't want to touch it. It was just, it was too out there with regards to me. I saw it and I didn't want to weigh in on it, but yeah, Sin City Manny, it was a really bad situation. Really bad. I mean, I said a prayer with regards to it. It lost for words on it because there's not much that I can say about it, because if I go into it, I'm going to get emotional.
To taunting and threats of other streamers, people are not beyond responding with violence, particularly in America. That is something in 2025, that's something that could happen. And God forbid that do happen, would be the absolute end of Twitch as a platform. What do I see them doing? They've got to do something against Hasan. Hopefully they give him a longer term ban, more than just 24 hours. But unfortunately, Twitch has been known to be very light on its favorite golden boy. But let me know in the comments below what you think about the whole situation, and what do you think they're going to do with Hasan, if they're going to do anything, and I'll catch you on the next.
Yep. Definitely a very good one. So, of course, with that, I will definitely say, I will give the link in the chats. Because, yeah. And of course, ooh, definitely worth following on that. Follow Andrew. He has some pretty good takes with regards to a lot of stuff. He always provides good commentary. He looks over a lot of good things. And he tends to cover a lot of things. There was a different one that I also wanted to cover here, and it has to do with the whole Nintendo problem. Because, yeah, in the gaming space, it's always decent to cover all of it. Let's see here. Sorry, my setup is all scuffed today.
Nostalgia quite like Nintendo. It's pretty much the entire business strategy. Now I'm kind of pissed off.
And the audio is seeming just a little bit off for me today. Let's see here. Man, I'm gonna need to get a booster.
Because you don't get to own physical games anymore, and now you don't even own the hardware itself. Hit the like button. Let's get to 80,000 subs. I know we can do it now. You know, there's a funny Fight Club quote. I think it goes something like, the things you own end up owning you, circa 1999.
Yeah, this is basically a callback to the Stop Killing Games, and I think Nintendo's going to have its own issues coming forward for this one, because seriously, this is just a bit nuts.
Nintendo is like, you can't sue us, give us money. Oh yes, do something about it. And the public is like, oh really, are you challenging us? Because
oh man. Oh, that's at least good for a brevity break. Oh, palate cleanse completely from all the seriousness.
Nintendo, folks, with the Switch 2 is hell-bent on universally considering themselves the least consumer-friendly gaming company ever.
Yeah, unfortunately they are.
Microsoft, who's laying off thousands of people a day. Good old Nintendo faces legal action over ability to brick Switch 2s whenever they want.
Yeah, I heard about that. It comes back to the whole thing that I think people were using what was called a MIG switch. Like, this calls back into the whole Stop Killing Games, because originally I tangent time, because my brain is like, oh, tangent, go back to the Game Genie hardware. I mean, okay, let's face it, this whole legal precedent, whatever, in the United States harkens back to a Canadian company that ended up going for cheat modules to basically be built. And because of that, for the whole cheat module thing, they created that, got sued by Nintendo, and then they all of a sudden decided they were going to move forward with that to create things. Now, moving forward from there, because they were creating the cheat modules, then they ended up moving forward into MIG switches and that kind of stuff, because it went into ROMs, being able to back up your games. And Nintendo's been fighting this battle for years to try to stop people in the ROM market and everything on there. So for all of that, it goes down to somebody out there created the big switch where you could load up all of your games onto it, and then you'd be able to play it, and then Nintendo started bricking it.
This is from Dexerto. Brazil's consumer watchdog is challenging Nintendo's ULA terms that allow the company to ban consoles from online services in a June 25 press release. Procon SP, the Sao Paulo, Brazil branch of Brazil's Consumer Protection Defense Program, requested changes to Nintendo's end-user license agreement, calling certain clauses abusive under Brazilian law. See, I knew the Brazilians were pretty badass, but now we know for sure the main concern is Nintendo's ability to permanently restrict access to services like...
Yeah, basically, if you're doing something that they don't like, they can kick you off the platform. Got it.
eShop and online play. If they believe someone has violated its terms, including unauthorized accessories or pirated software. Nintendo's end-user license agreement states, you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the console or the software permanently unusable in whole or in part. I'm doing it in that voice, by the way, because I can just picture some fella in Nintendo crying his heart out that gamers can actually do whatever the they want with their own product. Any affected consoles receive...
Yeah, and that's the callback to the Stop Killing Games. This is where Nintendo is definitely going to be against it.
The 21244508 error code and lose total access to online. The console still works offline but has already resulted in fans unknowingly buying affected second-hand consoles.
Oh, ew.
Something I paid $500 on, we are going to have a massive problem. I mean, what are you... I just want to reiterate how insane this whole thing is. You can buy something and then have it rendered completely useless because the manufacturer doesn't like how you used it. This should be on the front page of almost every news outlet, especially the technology sector. But it does look like...
And originally in the United States, if you actually opened up your thing, modified your console, it would actually violate the warranty, but you still had access to your product. This is disgusting.
Like, it does sound like Brazil is standing up for gamers' rights. Maybe they'll put Nintendo in some kind of Brazilian jiu-jitsu move and choke them out. Just so you understand, in Brazil, the minimum wage is 1,400 BRL, which is roughly about $260 US, and the Switch 2 costs 4,800 BRL. So, imagine paying 4 times your wage only to have it bricked. Nintendo should be sued out of the arse for this. Now that the Brazilians have put them in a 4-leg lock, it's time for the European Commission to also follow suit and take a closer look at that Nintendo end-user license agreement,
please.
because it feels 110% illegal, and it looks like the rest of the world might be waking up to this fact. I can't believe I need to say this, but I'll make this as clear as I possibly can. Once you've bought a Switch 2, it's not Nintendo's console anymore. It's yours.
True. I agree with that. As soon as you've bought the hardware and you bought your stuff, it should be yours to keep.
Kim Kardashian wants to take that Nintendo Switch and stick it up her wazoo, she can. And I'm pretty sure literally every other console can fit inside that massive hole anyway. Every time Nintendo does this, it should be legally recognized as vandalism. Because as far as the law is concerned, emulation is not illegal. And if it's done for your own purposes and you aren't connecting to Nintendo services whatsoever, why the should they care? Modding a console
Yeah, that's a
isn't some
point.
heinous crime. It's not like you're sawing off a shotgun so you can get better bullet spread so you can conceal it easier. You know what actually drives me nuts about the Switch 2? Imagine having no media apps work at launch. No YouTube, no Hulu, no Twitch, no...
Oh god. That is horrendous. That is disgusting.
OLED, fake HDR, which we could all sue them for, by the way, because that was false advertising, no real improvement to battery, cheap D-pad, $80 to $90 of worse-looking games running on outdated specs. Even the
Ugh.
fucking packaging scheme was absolutely lazy.
I originally didn't know that was how things were going. I'm just glad I didn't pay for it. Ugh. That's disgusting.
Single thin piece of cardboard between the outside and upward facing screen which can easily get poked. That seemed like a very easy way to ensure a lot of people who open their boxes to shattered screens. Another one of their
Shattered screens? Like, if I paid that much for, like, even, say, I mean, it's in the price range of a frickin' Steam Deck. If all of a sudden the box looked perfectly fine, you open it up and the thing's completely shattered, and just because the package has now been opened, I can't get a refund? That's disgusting.
is when they claim that we fixed stick drift by redesigning everything from the ground up. But the reality is just straight up the same old nonsense, straight up just another false advertising gimmick. When are the people gonna finally stop giving them the benefit of the doubt? With all the money Nintendo made from the Switch 1 sales, you would think that they would improve these very simple things. They have a very, very closed off and a very restrictive ecosystem where you have to pay for online play and features, not
Yeah, it's curated to the point where it's like the App Store for Apple.
to mention you're beholden to one of the most anti-consumer and greedy companies in the business. They only have one ace in the hole, and that's their first-party catalog that transcends generations. And as long as they target the morons with that, they can practically get away with anything. Well, they have been. Realistically, Nintendo is never going to lose money because there's too many people who would defend these actions. The Nintendo...
That's the other thing I've kind of noticed. There's a lot of people who are, to go with the odd term, I don't like saying it, but what they like to call Nintendo fanboys, they tend to side with Nintendo to the point where even it's a company, bro. Why are you defending a company that could care less if you don't buy its products?
drones will say, oh my god, it's Trump's tariffs, instead of just looking right in front of them and seeing the very obvious greed. These same morons will be like, Nintendo should have the right to take away what I paid for, And the actual regulators, the government regulators are like, well, no, actually they don't. What's funny is if you look at something like the Steam Deck, that has OLED and emulation is ridiculously easy on that. Sure, these other handhelds might be more expensive, but they are much more powerful and flexible. You can literally run anything on them. You can emulate, you can pirate, you can stream, you can use it for productivity, basically anything you want. Oh, and I almost forgot, I can't believe more isn't being made out of them. Nintendo selling game cartridges without the actual game on them. What?
Yeah, that's the ridiculous part. I started seeing that stuff when it came to other games. Like all of a sudden you'd open up the case and I'm expecting to see a physical disc for the damn thing. And all of a sudden it's like, where's my game? And then you see this little sheet of paper with a code on it. And you're supposed to enter it into the online digital space to be able to get your game. So it's like, okay, great. Thanks. I just wasted my money. You sold me a frickin' license, not the physical copy of the game, so I don't get to keep my game. Bloody ridiculous.
What the f? How is that even a thing. I mean, I remember when Xbox was crucified for their DRM nonsense with the Xbox One, to the point where they never really recovered from it, and they are still laying off people left and right every quarter. But now we have Nintendo doing the same shit, probably worse, and people are like, meh, who cares, it's fine. The hypocrisy and the double standards go crazy, but not according to Brazil and not according to the real gamers. And on that bombshell, I can never support Nintendo after what they did to Power World and the emulation community. They deserve to get sued up the arse. I want to know what all of you think in the comments. Mannix out.
Now, I would definitely agree with this dude to actually get that handled completely. So, with regards to all of that. So, definitely with all of that, I'm going to post his link into the chat here briefly. So that I can get that taken care of. Here we go. If this thing will actually... Did it actually give me the whole link? Yeah, it did. Okay. I had to make certain of that. Make sure it wasn't a dead link for some reason. There we go. So yeah. Definitely going to take a moment here with regards to a lot of things, and we'll be switching things over into Clair Obscur. We'll continue forward with that. And hopefully nobody has a complaint about that one, because we're going to play for a little bit, but that's going to be after taking a quick break so that I can get some more gamer subs, and we'll be able to roll on forward. Right. Okay. And I'm coming back. And we are switching things up a little bit. And we are going to be moving over to different things. We are going to be playing some Clair Obscur today, and we're going to see where we get. Let's see where we go today. All right, let's continue forward on the journey. Where were we? Oh, right. We're heading into the Serene. Okay. Let's see what happens today. All right.
The architecture looks very different here.
This kind of place never existed before the fracture.
It's
One
beautiful.
second.
Feels surreal.
All right. See if there's anything hidden. Always got to see if there's something hidden. Never know. Next thing you know, I'm going to be running into a mob, and then I'm going to get pwned. It's the way that always works, I guess. Oh, nope. Cutscene time. Oh, SK. Away you go, sir.
Is she the Axon?
Sirene, she who plays with wonder.
Oh, this is not good.
What's going on? I don't know.
She's manipulating your emotions. You have to focus. Remember why you're here.
Oof.
Be careful. They call her she who plays with wonder.
Yeah.
But what she really does is play with your head.
Oof. Sounds like a few of my ex-girlfriends.
Let's move fast before we all lose our minds.
Okay. Interesting enough. Well, this is different. And, yep. Down in a hole.
Don't look at her for too long or you'll go insane. I've seen people jumping off a cliff just from looking at her.
Well, yeah, that's a thing.
Mesmerizing.
This dance feels familiar. This is kind of dancing to it in Lumiere.
I don't think so. Never seen it.
Make sure we are good. Oh yeah, here come the mobs. Who do we hit first? They're probably all tied, knowing my luck. Ooh. All right. Dang it.
A storm is coming.
See if I can catch it. Nope. This is gonna suck.
Let's dance.
Damn it. Yep.
Let's spill some ink.
Oh, that sucked. All right.
Go again.
I'm ready. Okay.
Let's dance. Ready to go.
Feeling better. Let us stain them.
Man.
You're outmatched.
Finesse and grace.
Watch out, my elf.
Got her. Oh. That was both of them. Yeah, this is gonna get real nasty real quick. Yep. Real nasty real quick.
Finesse and grace.
Let the ink flow.
Ugh.
Storm is coming.
Oof. Man. Okay. And their garden's something. Ugh.
Danger! Danger!
Let's dance. That's better.
Romance flowing.
My turn. Watch out.
There we go.
Gilles, 55th. I don't understand. The weaponry worked brilliantly up to now. Augmenting Pictos with music was a stroke of genius. But the sonics have no effect on the Nephrons here. It's as if they can't even hear our music. They just keep dancing to their own. We're running out of ideas. I miss my girls so much it kills me. It hurts thinking that I could have been home right now playing music while they dance.
Mm-hmm.
Rochelle would have given birth by now. I could be holding my first grandchild. Instead, I'm here. No. There's still a chance, and someone has to fight for them. I can't let them down. Drums, maybe that'll work. They can't hear our music, but perhaps they will feel it.
Well, that's a thing. Handy. Is there anything hiding up in the back? Oh boy. What? Interesting. Is there a puzzle lock or something around here I don't know about? Hmm. Okay, so that continues that way. All right. Dang it. There. That's better. Let's see, what was it down there? Okay. What else? Oh. Oh boy.
Finesse and grace. A storm is coming.
Let's not waste the AP.
I'm ready.
There we go. Good, good.
What have we here?
Okay. Oh, the darkness. Hmm. Oh. Hey, hey. 2. And where's 3? Where's 3? Normally you can see him. Find that. There it is.
Well, that will help.
Nice. Let's see where things go. That can't sound good. Yep. Here we go again.
Let's carve a path. That's better.
Brace yourself.
There we go. Oh boy. This is gonna get fun.
On me.
Oh.
Ready to go.
A storm is coming.
Dang. Damn.
Dance begins.
Hmm.
Feeling better.
Incoming.
Damn it.
Take down their shields. Ready to carry.
Feeling better.
Really need it.
Damn it.
Storm is coming.
You're outmatched.
Hmm.
I'll use your fire. Good stuff.
The dance begins.
Lightning. Strike. Careful, my elf. Let's keep going.
Hmm.
On me.
A storm.
Ah.
Time to hit big. Blades sharpened. Take down their shields.
Watch out, my Al.
Okay.
Didn't really need it.
Ready to go.
Really need it.
Man. Ugh, try not to lock in.
Good stuff.
Overflowing with energy.
Mm. Damn.
Let's spill some ink. Finesse and precision.
Your end is nigh. Let's carve a path.
Let's do that again.
Blade cut through the flames.
There we go. Ugh.
Good stuff.
There we go. Wow. That's one heck of a picto. Oh well.
Cut through the flames.
Hmm.
Brace yourself.
Nope, missed it. Damn.
Luna, careful.
Okay.
You're outmatched.
Man.
Good.
Just try it.
Ready to parry.
Ready to strike.
Chroma is flowing.
My turn.
Hmm.
Okay. That sounds done.
That's better.
Ugh.
Finesse and precision. Nice.
Hiding nothing. Oh boy.
Interesting.
Let's see. How are we doing? How are we doing? Oh. Another headpiece. What else we got? Okay, down over here. There. I'm all the way back at the beginning? Can't be. Bloody well can't be. This can't be. Oh, we'll find out soon enough.
Let the ink flow.
You're outmatched.
Definitely see. Are we all the way back? Looks like we're all the way back. What the heck? Yep. All the way back. So let's see about going the other way. Let's go back the other way. That's frickin' ridiculous. I guess I'm lost again. Because this goes all the way back to the beginning. Yeah. Try the other route. Let's see here. Let's see how things go. Go back this way. Okay, back up this way. Here we go. This has got to be it. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Let's see here. Interesting enough. What else we got? And lost again. Man, how does one get out of here? Try to figure this out. Huh. Already been here. Okay, there's got to be... Let's see.
That's better.
There we go. Now. It's like, is there some other way to get down? This is bloody well annoying. That's where that chest was. Yeah, I took care of the boss over here. Is there other bosses? Hmm. Let's see here. Let's see. What am I looking at? Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Let's spill some ink.
Feeling better.
Damn it.
Chroma is flowing.
Well, damn.
Let's dance. That's better.
Take cover. Yes. Now's our chance.
The dance begins.
Coming.
Feeling better.
There we go. Oof. Yeah. Hmm. Let's see. Let's go back. So freaking long. Eventually, I'm probably going to find it. Alright. Maybe I gotta clear this stupid thing out again. I don't know. Definitely a place to grind.
Take cover.
Didn't really need it.
Definitely a place to grind.
My turn.
Careful, my elf.
Luna
I've already been everywhere around. All over the bloody place. What in the actual frag? I do not get it. Just do not get it. Feel free to backseat on me. Different. Here we go. This might work. Oh boy. Let's see. What do we got? Nope. Let's see. What have I got? I might have to change party. Yeah, I might have to change party. What to see? Maybe I can just get my way through it. I don't know. But this... Always try to find the loot. Oh, it's a Patank. I'm never fast enough to handle one of them things. Leave them alone and come back later. What do we got here? Oh boy. This is gonna get fun. Lots of fun. Let's see what I have here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Brace yourselves.
There we go. Let's see, is it gonna resurrect things? There we go. That was fun. Interesting enough. See what happens when I go up. Oh ho!
Let's dance.
Let the ink flow.
Let's dance.
Useful.
Definitely. There we go. Collect as many lumina as you can. Well, that was one way through. Oh boy. There's a thing down there.
I'm ready.
Hmm.
Ready to parry.
Brace yourself.
Didn't really need it. That's better.
Hmm.
Fast.
Finesse and grace. Blade cut through the flames.
Watch out, Mael.
They're so dodge.
Really need it.
Man.
Brace yourselves.
There we go. Interesting. At least I made it all the way to the bottom platform. No idea. Okay. Oop, yep, hidden. Nice.
Interesting.
Here we go. Let's see how creepy things get, I guess.
This place is huge.
Thank Expedition 67 for destroying a lot of the walls to get further. Couldn't progress without that.
Feels like home.
Oof. Lot of a mess. Oh boy. Those things are terrible. Now, if only. Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. The door. Heck yeah. Oh, of course. Gotta go with the bathroom. Well, that's something, I guess. What, no treasures? There we go. But yeah, here we are at 4:45. The unfortunate bit is I'm gonna have to start getting ready for dinner, feeding kiddos, everything else. So I'm sorry to have to cut things. Here we are. But definitely glad for everybody hanging out with me today on this lovely 4th of July. Because gotta get the dinner rolling. Because, yeah, there's fireworks. There's all sorts of other fun to happen. So, definitely get out, have some fun, spend some time with family, spend some time touching grass. That'd be good. Definitely for myself, touch grass. That'd be good. But, of course, we'll have to actually see who we will raid today. So, of course, definitely have to take a look at that. So, let's see here. Who do we have? Who do we have? See if we have anybody who's actually on today. Let's see here. Yeah, I figure we can say hi to Powder if she's open to it. Nope. That's not working. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I definitely will bid everybody a very well and happy 4th. You guys take care. All right?